Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. The Department of Defense is changing the way it moves military service members by contracting with one company. It's a change that could affect thousands of soldiers in our state and certainly moving companies that often work with military service members. WRAL 5 on your side producer Pritchard has been looking into this and joins me now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So, how big of a deal is moving for service members? I feel like people I knew who grew up in military families did move a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, no secret, right? I mean, they're moving sometimes every 18 months, maybe on average every 2 years. So it's a lot. If you've been through a big move with a family, it's a big deal. There's a lot to do. You've got kids running around, dogs running around, whatever it may be. So that just adds to the stress. It's one of the biggest, life events and stressful times that you can do. So imagine doing this multiple times through your career and doing it 300,000 times a year. That's about what the DoD says happened. That's the number the DoD says happens every year as far as military moves go.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of movement between military installations. I'm sure a lot of that happens at our bases here, like Fort Liberty. What made you want to look into this?
So we were reached out to by the moving side, right? Because this is a big impact to them. There's been some concern from their side, both with the North Carolina Movers Association as well as some of the smaller local movers, that this is really going to impact not only the moving business and some of those small businesses, but their concern is also for the service members as well, that they just don't believe that the way the program is headed is going to be beneficial to service members. They're concerned about it ramping up this summer when, the busy season really starts. They think that, the system just isn't prepared, and that's going to have a negative effect on service members, and that is the stance of the movers side of things.
Okay. And so how has the moving system within the military worked up until this point, and what is exactly changing?
So Department of Defense, a division called Transcom, they're the ones who kind of logistically handle these moving events. They vet the contractors. They have a list of trusted contractors. They're the ones, they have a system for doling out these moves and making assignments and things like that. And basically what's happening is the Department of Defense, Transcom, they're getting out of the moving business. They are assigning, they bid out a contract, and a company called Home Safe Alliance won that contract for a little over $17 billion, so huge contract.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do now is they're going to take over that process of vetting the moving companies that are involved in moving military families. They're going to have their own system. This is billed by Department of Defense as an upgrade, as reforming the system, as getting, technology more up to date, making these moves better. So they had a reason for doing this. They wanted to upgrade the system, and they had this company come in and start doing that. From the mover side, they have concerns about the way that Home Safe Alliance has executed so far and what's going to happen when things get really busy this summer.
Okay, gotcha. And so who did you talk to for the story? As you said, the moving company side sort of approached you, so I would assume you'd talk to someone on that side, but them and who else? Yeah,
absolutely. So we spoke with Pam Stanley. She's the executive director of the North Carolina Movers Association. She had some of these concerns that I've been talking about is really just kind of the disorganization and that there is low pay for some of the moving companies. She said that, if you are offering low pay for movers to come into this program to work, you're not going to get good companies. And when you don't get good companies, that's when problems happen. Now, I can't speak exactly to what has happened with the system so far, but I know that in the past, with non-military moves, we've looked into complaints about movers who, get the delivery. They demand more money. Sometimes they hold shipments hostage. There are things that can happen to make a move really, really difficult, more than just a couple of scratches on some furniture. And that's what she's concerned about. The other person we spoke with was Steve Marshburn. He's with Piedmont Van and Storage down in Fayetteville. He says his business is about 95% military. And he said that it's a huge cut to what he's able to make if he agrees to this new contract, to getting in with this new group of military movers. He says it cuts into his business about 20%, and he just isn't able to keep things running long term, losing that much money. So, he also had some of the same concerns about the impact of service members. stress, readiness, things like that, but also, the concern from both these groups that it's going to put small businesses under potentially.
All right, let's take a quick break right there, and we'll be right back. Pritchard, before the break, you were kind of explaining the moving industry and companies' side of why this could be complicated if you change the system within the DoD, which has been done, for moves. What does the DoD say in response to some of those criticisms?
So they say that for a long time, the system has worked in favor of the movers, that they've kind of had the benefit here of what they've been able to make through the system, and that reform was really needed. So on top of just kind of revamping how things are done, they wanted to update technology, and that's why they brought in Home Safe Alliance to kind of do this. But, they say that they're not exactly surprised by the reaction of the movers. They say that, anytime that your bottom line is being threatened, that yes, you're going to be concerned. You're going to be outspoken about that. So they aren't surprised by this reaction from them, it doesn't seem. But, they do have confidence in the system. They say that this is going to be an improvement for service members going forward.
And what is the response from the company that has been given this contract?
So Home Safe Alliance said, we brought some of those specific concerns, right? Some of the issues about who is going to be involved in this project and things like that. So they said, forward us to their site, which has a whole list of the way that they vet these service providers, how they grade them, dependent on service, timeliness, claims against them. And, the whole thing here is both Transcom and Home Safe Alliance say that, having this all under one roof, under one company, is going to give them more ability to hold movers accountable where they may not necessarily have been in the past. They say that, by everything funneling through Home Safe Alliance, it's just easier for them to do it that way. So, Home Safe Alliance says that they've got a lot that they're looking into as far as background checks and things like that for movers. So some of those fears that people have, the moving association, things like that. From Home Safe Alliance perspective, they're saying that seems a little overblown.
Okay. And for, service members who hear this and know they've probably got a move coming up in the next couple of years, what kind of things should they watch out for? Because I know you mentioned that we've gotten calls not necessarily military move related, but just moving in general related about issues with companies. So what kind of things should they see as red flags? Yeah,
so right now, the system has not been updated at Fort Liberty. Mm-hmm. That they are not involved in the system yet. They will be soon, but they're not yet. Camp Lejeune and MCAS Cherry Point both are. So, they can use the system now as it is. They can also go and get their own movers. They can do what's called a PPM, a personally procured move, and they can find their own mover, and then they can request to be reimbursed up to a certain amount. Is it going to cover everything? Maybe not, given the way the contract looks now, but you get to pick your own mover and do it your own way. What I would really just say is, before getting into any kind of contract situation where you're signing on with a specific mover, is do your homework on them. Look up with U.S. Transportation, see if they've got complaints. BBB is a good one, Better Business Bureau. North Carolina Department of Justice, but also the Utilities Commission. They regulate movers in North Carolina, and people may not know that, but that's always a good one to check with too, is the Utilities Commission on movers. So just kind of being aware, doing your homework and a little bit of research. It's so much better to do that on the front end than the amount of work it takes on the back end to fix a problem. It's just so different, and we hear that all the time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.